Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? It is Wednesday night. Usually we're here Friday night with my main man, Bash from 49er Minded. We are here to talk about 49ers Seattle because there's a game tomorrow. And before we get there, what's up to the chat? I want to say happy Thanksgiving to my boy Bash here that always joins me on a weekly basis. How's your week going and what's your plan for Thanksgiving other than watching the Niner game? What's up, man?
Oh, what's up? Well, the plans aren't going to be as good as I thought they would because my niece is under the weather, and her and her and my nephew aren't going to be able to come over, unfortunately. So, but other than that, I got some relatives coming over to watch the Niner game with us, and should be fun. And yeah, no big plans other than that, other than coming on here, man, and probably doing a post game show the night of or the day after. We'll see how that goes.
Nice, nice, nice. That's good, man. Yeah, sometimes low key is better than no key. Yeah, we're gonna do my celebration probably Friday because I split my daughter with her mom, and this year her mom made like big plans. So I work in the morning. So by the time I get my daughter, I'm like, all right, screw it. We'll just do Friday. So I'm gonna low key get. I got a little bit of food I'll eat on my own, and then when my daughter comes, I'll cook the whole feast, and we cook and then we'll have leftovers all weekend. But looking forward to tomorrow's game. The last time the 49ers and the Seahawks played on Thanksgiving, I was pissed off. I'm sure you were. Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson, 50-yard line, eating the turkey. I need to see George Kittle and Nick Bosa and Brock Purdy eating the turkey on the 50-yard line. Now, what do you think um, of that last game the Niners played the Seattle Seahawks in Thanksgiving? I'm still pissed off about that.
I don't even remember how. I know we got our asses kicked, but I don't remember the score. I don't remember what the game even looked like because I was so mad and the result and all that. All the trash talking pissed me off. And ironically, Richard Sherman ends up being a 49er years later.
Oh
So
my!
it's like we kind of got to deprogram ourselves from the Richard Sherman hate. And he actually pumps up the Niners more so than Seattle does, if I'm not mistaken, currently. And I do like him a lot as an analyst. But yeah, back then, oh yeah, it definitely sucked. And
No,
yeah, I would love to get some revenge. I'd love to finally eat some turkey on their field. Time for us to feast.
absolutely. We got to get the revenge. We need to eat on their field. And you're right. Like, it's crazy because when Richard Sherman came to the Niners, you had to root for him. It was the weirdest thing ever. But he became a fan favorite. And you're right. He loves the Niners. That's all he talks about. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good game. Niners, they got to get this game because they got to keep up pace with the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, but the Eagles. If they want to stay up and be the number one team, we talked about it during the last couple of weeks. We want to see the Niners be the number one seed in the NFC. The Eagles just fresh off a victory over the Chiefs. They got a 2-game lead. The Niners can't lose this game. And also the Niners, they need to win the NFC West regardless of anything. And this is the biggest game right now of the season for them in terms of staking claim in the NFC West. And the Seattle Seahawks coming off a major loss to the Rams. They have to win this game. This is a must-win game for Seattle. They're going to be playing with their backs against the wall in the Emerald City. This is going to be a bloodbath. No matter what happens, no matter who's hurt, which we'll talk about in a minute, it doesn't matter. It's Seattle, it's 49ers. There was a stretch where they would always beat the 49ers. There was a stretch where the Niners would beat them, So this is a tough rivalry. It's one of the biggest rivalries in terms of being a Niner fan that I could remember. And Seattle plays the 49ers tough every year. Pete Carroll, man, guy's man, I can't stand him, but he always has a good game plan for the 49ers. So, what are your thoughts first and foremost on this game on Thursday night, man?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, we're not playing Russell Smith, obviously. We're playing Geno Smith, and that's how we're playing Russell Wilson, playing
Mm.
Geno Smith, and Geno Smith might be a little damaged. I mean, he's got some elbow injury. I'm sorry, my words. I know what's wrong with me today, but all good. Yeah, I mean, they got some good cornerbacks in Seattle too. Tyreek Woolen, Trey Brown,
Mm.
Devin Witherspoon. Seattle's pass defense only gives up an 88.8 rating, which middle of the pack you could say, but those corners are pretty damn good corners, and they didn't have a big pass rush against the Rams, but who knows what happens when they play us? Sometimes we just match up for some reason. Sometimes when we play Seattle, certain things where we may have an advantage on, it just doesn't seem to matter because Pete Carroll just has his team primed and ready a lot of times, especially when they play us. And I know we beat them 3 times last year, but I don't want to take this team lightly either. So I mean, we may catch a break though because what is it? Walker's out for the game too, but Charbonnet's not a bad receiver out of the backfield, and he's a rookie running back. So who knows?
Yeah, Charbonnet is good. I mean, he's not Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker's their star running back. Unfortunately for him, an oblique injury, he's out for the game. A short week after a Sunday game. I know I didn't expect him to be out. He's pretty much doubtful, but Pete Carroll said he's not going to play. That's a big loss for them. But you like you said, the 49ers and the Seahawks, they've both missed players traditionally through the years, and it doesn't really matter when these two guys when these two teams get together. The other key injury for the Seahawks, though, you hit it, was Geno Smith. He is dealing with an elbow injury. Pete Carroll said he's ready to play. That might be a little risky for them because if Geno Smith goes down and he's hurt for an extended period of time, that could really hurt their season. Their backup's not all that great. We all know, if you know, their backup is a stink fest. So hopefully for the Seahawks, they don't have to get any injuries. But the 49ers side of the things, they got some O-line issues, and they've been battling offensive line issues the whole year. So Aaron Banks, turf toe, he's questionable. He did come back to practice this week, so that is kind of big. Spencer Burford showed up on the injury report this week with a knee injury, and he's questionable. He didn't go through walkthroughs today, according to the report. So you take that with however you want it. The guy that's kind of stepped up and made his name is John Feliciano over the last couple of weeks. I think he's going to be able to start no matter which one of those guys doesn't play or if they don't play. But after that, it's like, who the heck are they going to play at the other guard spot if Feliciano or Burford and Banks can't play? So 49ers offensive line is a little banged up. That doesn't bode well for them in a big hostile division game. Hopefully they can keep Brock Purdy's jersey nice and clean. It's going to be the white throwback. I don't want to see any grass stains on it, but we'll see how it goes. This is going to be a tough matchup. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. The last time the Niners and the Seahawks played last year in Seattle, it was for basically the 49ers won the NFC West. And DK Metcalf got just owned by Charvarius Ward. That's the Mooney Ward I want to see. He was all over him. If you remember that game, they were going back and forth, and then DK got pissed. Him and Dre Greenlaw got in a fight, like basically almost threw hands. That was the intensity that I remember last year in this game in Seattle. So hopefully Mooney Ward can hold DK Metcalf. What do you think about that prime matchup right there?
Yeah. Anytime I see DK Metcalf on the field, he just looks scary. And I just feel like, oh my gosh, he's so much bigger, stronger, and he's really fast compared to our DBs and our corners. So yeah, good reminder though. I mean, Mooney Ward did play against them last time. I don't know if he does so this time and this year in general with Mooney Ward, it's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing. I think over the past couple of weeks, things have been looking a little bit better because, with the whole sideline Steve being on the sidelines and, with Chase Young being added to the pass rush, and then we changed the nickel position. We got Ambry Thomas in the mix now. And so, all that's different. We don't have Oliver out there, obviously, at nickel. So things have changed in terms of personnel and in terms of a little bit in coaching, you could say, for the secondary and defense in general. Hopefully Mooney Ward just he got his groove back, and we see a good Mooney Ward out there because I don't want to see the grabby one, that's for sure. He was really, really grabby in those losses and a lot of flags thrown, and definitely don't want to see that.
Yeah, he's been a little inconsistent. When he's on, he's on. When he's off, it's like, man, okay. And yeah, I think you're right. It's the grabs, it's the physical play. He makes a lot of tic-tac penalties, and those are the things that can catch up with you. The Niners got to stay off the penalty. That's something that's really hurt them is they've been getting a lot of weird little penalties here and there. Holding the jersey, PI, defensive holding, stuff like that. So you're right. I want to see them cut down on that. But I know Mooney Ward has the ability to shut down DK. Now it's going to be a tough matchup. DK got him back in the playoff game. He got a big catch against him. The other guy on the 49ers side, on the receiving side, we got to talk about Brandon Ayuk. He's kind of starting to really trend up. These last 2 weeks, he's been playing money contract. We know he's got a big contract coming up in this offseason. So the better he plays down the stretch, more money he's going to make. If you can make money plays during the money part of the season, you deserve your money. And he has been booming. You talked about the Seattle Seahawks secondary. They got some dogs, man. Witherspoon and, the other guys you mentioned. They got some really, really strong cornerbacks. And they're all young. So Brandon Ayuk's going to have his handful. And then Deebo Samuel. Last year in the playoffs, I remember this game, they stepped on his leg. They pissed him off. That was the worst thing you could do. I remember that game. I was there, and I'm sitting there walking back to my seat. Second half just started, and the Seahawks guy kind of twisted Deebo's leg. Deebo was like, what the fuck? Next, like 2 plays later, he gets the pass, touchdown to the house, game-changing play. Like, that is a guy you don't want to piss off. That's going to be an X factor. And I know this offseason, Juwan Jennings and Tyreek Woolen were like John back and forth. So these guys are ready to roll. We did, like you said, we talked about DK Metcalf and Mooney Ward, but the 49ers side of things, that receiving group has to be able to bring the energy and the physicality to the Seattle Seahawks secondary. The Seattle Seahawks secondary is really good. And you said earlier, Pete Carroll, he just knows how to scheme it up. So what do you think about 49ers receivers, Ayuk, Debo, and Juwan Jennings for that matter, in this matchup against the Seattle Seahawks?
Yeah, we were talking last week. Remember how there was that whole conversation between Larry Krueger and a few other guys about, oh, Ayuk isn't up to snuff and he's not up to par because he's not getting the end zone. And you were saying that, you know, his contract year is coming up. And in order for him to get the deal that he wants, he does have to make the touchdown. So lo and behold, you know, 2 weeks in a row, he gets a touchdown, gets a gigantic, huge, amazing touchdown, a 76-yarder, 78-yarder, I believe. And beautiful throw by Brock on that one. So it's good to see that. You know, we've seen Ayuk plenty of times catch like intermediate crossing routes, 20 yards down the field, and he'll get some yak yards, but it's never all the way for a touchdown. You almost think like he's got good yak ability, but for some reason, if Debo maybe have caught a couple of those, maybe it does go to the house. It's hard to tell though. But overall, as a fluid, more of a pure receiver, you could say Ayuk definitely has the tools compared to Debo. But Debo, like you said, he's that trendsetter. He's that playmaker. He's the guy he's the catalyst, man. So just a bit of a contrast, and I like them both. And Jennings, man, he had 0 catches this past week. I'm used to the Jennings from last year where so many times on so many third downs, he'd bail us out on third downs, and he's not a speedy, fast guy. But last year, you know, he'd catch certain passes on third downs, and he'd find a way to break tackles or make people miss and get some yak yards of his own. So I'd like to see a bit more of, they used to call him third and Jennings last year. You know, I'd like to see a whole third and Juwan. I'd like to see a lot more of that this you know, in this game and in future games, because we definitely need Juwan to help out down the stretch. It can't be just Debo and Ayuk and nobody else, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Jennings, his physicality. He's great in the blocking game, but I feel like he does have to step in a little bit. But Brock's, you know, he's doing his thing. He's getting the ball to whoever needs it. But I would like to see him step up a little bit, take a little stress off of Debo and Ayuk. Because, again, this is a great secondary. Mix it up. They're not going to expect Juwan Jennings to get much action. And Juwan Jennings, he can be that guy. Like, he's traditionally done some good things against Seattle. So let's see how this goes with the wide receiver crew. But I think Debo Samuel might be able to have a big game because he traditionally has big games against the Seahawks. So I remember 2019, the little spin cycle, touchdown, jet sweep. There was a play where he, I can't remember who was covering him, but he shook the guy. And I mean, highlight real play. The touchdown last year in the playoffs, a couple years back, deep bomb pass touchdown to Debo. Like, he does great against the division opponents, you know, the Rams and you know, the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Like, Debo, man, he comes alive on these division games, and it's prime time. I think he might have a big game, honestly. Like, people aren't talking about him. We're all talking about Ayuk, like you said. And like I mentioned, he's a contract guy, and we expect him to put the touchdowns. But don't sleep on Debo Samuel. The moment teams sleep on Debo, he wakes up, and it's like, oh, crap, we all forgot about Debo. So I think sneaky, he might get a touchdown. And, you know, there's just so many weapons for the 49ers. It's good to see them healthy. And the guy we haven't even talked about, Christian McCaffrey, this guy finally got back on the touchdown, you know, side of things last week, restarted his streak. They're using him as a receiver. So I feel like maybe they're not using Jennings as much because you have CMC acting as a slot receiver. So a lot of different looks. You know, Kyle's going to get creative against Pete Carroll. Both teams are going to throw the kitchen sink out. But one guy last year, speaking of running backs, so I mentioned CMC. We all know he's a great player. Last year against Seattle, in Seattle, there was a man by the name of Jordan Mason, and he got the game-clutching run. I remember that. It was like a 60-yard. He just, like, stroked down the middle of the field, and he gets tackled on the one. Should have got a touchdown, but he was so key. You think Kyle Shanahan's going to mix it up and try to use a couple of different running backs? Every week we sit here and say, oh, they should use Mitchell and Mason, but is this finally the week where he uses – I mean, this is a short week. You got to keep CMC fresh, man. We got Philadelphia after this. What do you think?
I mean, I felt like in this last game, it looked like at least they used Mitchell a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was only 4 carries, but at least he looked like the Mitchell of old. I mean, 4 carries, 24 yards. He actually had some explosive speed on those runs. And they were the nice thing I liked about those runs is a good portion of them were on the right side of the field, McKivitz side. Didn't have to be on Trent Williams' side like it always is.
Yeah.
So that was a bit refreshing to see. I'm in Niner fans. Love when Jordan Mason's out there. Little he's gotten the ball, he's looked good, but why don't we see him out there? It's a major question mark, and people say, oh, maybe he fumbles too much. Maybe he doesn't block. Elijah Mitchell supposedly never fumbled in his college career, from what I hear. So maybe Shanahan just stuck on that. But either way, I was happy to see Mitchell get the rock this past game. But either or, one of the two, or if not both guys, just to help out CMC a bit. But I do like CMC being used in the slot as well and as a receiver. And that one touchdown he had was really nice because he literally ran up behind the center, where he ran through the middle of the offensive line, basically, where nobody was there to guard him, and he was just free off to the right side of the field for the little touchdown that he got.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's one of those things. It's nice to see him starting to use Mitchell, but I want to see him use these guys just a little bit more because I want to keep CMC healthy for the long run. We got a tough stretch of games. We all know, Seattle, Philly, Seattle, and then the Ravens in a couple of weeks after that. So keep him fresh. We need to make sure that he's healthy for the stretch run. We got to make sure all these guys are healthy for the stretch run. So definitely going to be a fun, interesting thing to see CMC. I mean, CMC, man, changes the complexion of the game, but you kind of want to see these other guys at some points. But like you said, you mentioned they did use Mitchell a little bit. So I do like that. Real quick, I want to take a pause and say what's up to the chat. We got so many people in the house tonight. Got Bryant Culp, Randy Daytona, Red Jet Shell. We got David McNiner, 49er Minded. That's you in the chat. We got so many people. 49er Fever, Fired Up 49ers, Depressed Sad Niners fan. Man, everybody in the building. Christine Workman, what is going on, everybody? Christine had a good question. She says, what do you think about the signing of Ben Bartch? They did sign a new offensive guard this week from the Jaguars practice squad. What do you think? You got any info on the man that they signed this week?
The only thing I know is that at one point in time, they did have him as a starting offensive lineman. We believe he's on the Jags, right? So he does have NFL starting experience. Just another guy that they could throw in the mix if need be later down the road. He's not going to be somebody that's relevant for the team right now, but maybe there's something they liked in him talent-wise. I believe he was a third-round draft pick in the 2020 draft. No, sorry, fourth round. Fourth round draft pick. 6'6", 315. So maybe just a project guy that they kind of liked at one point, and they figured, oh, he's available now. Let's get him. So not too excited about it, but maybe they like him. So
maybe, you never know. I mean, they had a free roster spot because of unfortunate injury to Talanoa Hufanga. So let's talk about that. That's why I brought it up, because of course you got a new roster spot, so you sign the guy. We'll see if he does anything or not. But the big issue for the rest of the season is, the 49ers did lose all-pro safety Talanoa Hufanga. That was a rough injury. We all know how good of a player he is, and he's going to be, and how much impact he has on this defense. It's a rough loss, torn ACL. You hate to see that. He's got to really rehab and grind. But his replacement, Jair Brown, he stepped up. He played good. So I want to know what you think about the loss of Hufanga, and what do you think about Jair Brown so far? What are your thoughts overall?
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet. It's I'm sitting and watching the game. Keep in mind I was at the sports bar, Tom's Watch Bar in downtown Sacramento, right next to the Golden One Center. I was really excited to be there, but when you're at a sports bar, you don't necessarily hear everything. You don't catch everything as much as you do when you're at the house. When you're at the house, you're really, really locked into it. So I'm watching the game and I see Jair Brown in there. And then I was telling my boy, damn, he got burnt. It was like the first play he was in there. Was it Godwin that burned him? Who was it that beat him? I thought it was Godwin. I know it wasn't Mike Evans.
It was Rashad White. It was Rashad White.
Okay, it was White. Okay. Yeah. And we're like, damn, we've been wanting to see him, but man, maybe that's why he doesn't play that much, because he got burnt. And we were watching the game, and then later we saw Jair Brown just make all these plays. Just he was all over the field. I was like, damn, this guy looks hella good right away. Like, why haven't we been seeing it? And then so I'm watching this game. I see him getting their interception, of course, making all these plays. And I had no idea Hufanga was injured. I just thought they just threw Jair Brown in there for the sake of throwing him in there. So after the game, my friend called me. He's like, oh, man, Hufanga's possibly out for the season. I was like, oh, great. I'm celebrating this win. And then I'm hearing the bad news. So it really sucked. But shout out to Hufanga. He's a great, great guy. For those who had the opportunity to meet him, you can't find a nicer person than Talanoa Hufanga. Great dude, awesome player. It sucks, but the Niners. Luckily we were prepared. We did draft a safety. We drafted a safety they highly coveted in round 3 out of Penn State. So let's see him do his thing, man.
Yeah, he played great, and yeah, it's unfortunate for Hufanga. You know, he's a fan favorite, a great guy, like you said. If you ever met him, guy's so nice. But Jair Brown, man, impressive. They did trade up to get this guy. You know, people got to remember this was a guy they really wanted. He was the crown jewel of their draft class this year. You know, he dropped because he had a slow combine time, but so did Hufanga, and we all know how great he turned out to be. So Jair Brown's a playmaker, man, and I just loved when he had the interception. He soaked it all in. You saw the video where Fred Warner's like, "You want us to game, boy? You want us to game, boy? Get up and celebrate." And then after that, he tells him, he's like, "Look, I told you. What I tell you? It's gonna come." Like with as long as the Niners have Fred Warner, these young players are going to be so fine. Like he knows how to help these young bucks stay in the moment. And you're right, Jair Brown, man, played good. The thing about Jair, he saved a lot of touchdowns from other guys that got burnt. That's what you want out of your safety. So I loved it, man. Next man up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What was the one play that Jair Brown? The only play of Jair Brown's that I remember in the preseason. I'm talking about the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he like stop? I think there was like a kick return or a punt return. Some big play happened right before the end of the half, right? And Jair Brown out of nowhere was the guy to save it from being a touchdown. And that showed me right there, this guy's a player.
It was like a broken play, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a broken play, and he makes the tackle, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at Jair Brown's hustle." And I remember people putting it out on Twitter. I was like, "Oh wow, that was a nice." He's got hustle. He's a playmaker. 10 interceptions in 2 years in college. This guy has a knack for the ball. He's a pure athlete, man. I love him. He was a captain in Penn State. I think it was a magical pick, and I think he could be a really, really good player. 49ers never draft safeties or cornerbacks as high as they did Jair Brown. I think this is a guy that they're really, really high on, and he was going to start next year eventually. He gets a little bit earlier start to his career. It's kind of like Dre Greenlaw a couple years back. Quan Alexander, season ender, it sucked, and then boom, here comes Dre Greenlaw. And guess what? If it wasn't for Dre Greenlaw being in, they won't beat the Seattle Seahawks. They don't win the NFC West that year. It's a whole different story. So maybe this guy does something that we're like, wow, unbelievable. It's no shot to Hufanga because he's amazing. I love the guy, but sometimes you have to take advantage of the opportunity. So
I want to talk about Fred Warner really quick because I never saw this video until you posted it on your Instagram, on your Twitter. That video of Fred Warner, and for those who think this rivalry no longer exists and it died, when Russell Wilson left the Seahawks or whatever, and Sherman and Marshawn left the Seahawks. No, this rivalry between the Niners and other players, the Seahawks, still exists because you see Fred Warner screaming, dropping F-bombs at his 49er players in Seattle on the field before the game, telling them, "We effing hate this team and F this team and F Seattle." And I've loved Fred Warner, great player. But when I saw that, I was like, damn, I like him even more. That video got me so hyped, dude.
I love that. When I saw that last year, I was like, oh God, that video made me like have chills. Cause you're right. Like we all know that the Niners and Seahawks have just a big rivalry. It goes back for many, many years. But when Fred Warner embraces it and he knows how big this rivalry is, it just makes you like, damn, man, Fred, he's special. He knows how much this means to the fans. And like, that's why I love Fred. He just knows, like, he's so culturally aware of everything 49ers. That he's a true freaking leader of this team, man. And not just for the players, but for the fans. He knows how much these games mean for the fans. So shout out to Fred. Real quick, I got a couple of super chats I want to get to. So Alex M says Bosa is going to have a monster game. Whoo, I think so, man. Ever since Chase Young has come to the Niners, Nick Bosa is the happiest man in America. I love Chase Young addition to the 49ers because Nick Bosa is doing work. What do you think Nick Bosa is going to do this week against the Seattle? See, Geno Smith, elbow issue. They got Kenneth Walker out. Nick Bosa is licking his chops. He loves to play the Seattle Seahawks. What say you? What's your thought on this, man?
I know he's good. Isn't he good up against Jason Peters, the guy who used to be on the Eagles? And I haven't scouted him on the Seahawks. I don't know how good or how bad he is at this point in time in his career, but just for the simple fact that we do have Chase Young on that D line now in the pass rush, along with Javon Hargrave, along with Armstead, mix in some Clelin Ferrell, mix in some Randy Gregory. We're so much more successful at the stunts now. Now it's reminding me much more so of that Justin Smith, Alden Smith connection that we had with the Smith brothers when we ran those stunts on the D line. And it's a beauty. It's a thing of beauty to watch. And I just, week in and week out, I just get so excited. Like, oh wow, is Chase Young on the field? Is Bosa on the field? I got to see this. Like, I get so excited to see the pass rush and see them go after quarterbacks. And if they rack up 4 sacks like they did against Tampa Bay, it won't surprise me at all. So
I think Nick Bosa is going to rack up 2 sacks at the very least, because it's the Chase Young effect. It's so hard to cover Chase Young that you can't double team and chip Nick Bosa, because if you do that to Nick Bosa, well, guess what? Chase Young's coming for your neck. I mean, last week against the Buccaneers, Chase Young beat Tristan Wirfs. He was the only guy that got a sack against Tristan. Like, that is a hard
I saw
match.
that.
That was dope. Like, he beat
He
the
went right
shit
around
out of
him.
Brett. Yeah, ran right by him. Chase Young is a dog, man, and that makes Nick Bosa. He didn't have any help out there getting triple and double team. Nick Bosa is getting sacks every week. Like, it's definitely a game changer, and I think Nick Bosa, I agree with Alex. Nick Bosa is going to have a capital monster game, and I'm so ready for this one, man. God, Nick Bosa being on the Niners is just, it's phenomenal, man. It is absolutely phenomenal with Chase Young. I think there was another super chat in here. Let me try to find it. Let me see. I'll go ahead and find it while you let me know again.
Whenever you get a chance, because I saw you on with Larry Krueger.
Mhm.
I watched a good portion of that show.
Yeah.
Let everybody know about this whole Dre Greenlaw, Seattle Seahawks, story that I didn't know the story was that deep with Dre Greenlaw and the Seahawks.
Let's talk about that. So yeah, being Seahawks week, so Fred Warner on his Warner House podcast, he said, he always has Dre Greenlaw now as a guest. I love it. And he basically said, yo, Dre, what's up with you against the Seahawks? Like, you're always kicking their butt, man. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, you guys are, he goes, you just play different when you play the Seahawks. And he says, okay, let me take it back to the NFL Combine, back the year when he was getting drafted. You get the Combine meetings and all this stuff. And Pete Carroll is there and, doing the Combine interviews. And Dre's trying to impress him and say all this stuff. And basically, he kind of wrote him off. Pete Carroll, this is the bet. It was like so funny because Dre Greenlaw is impersonating Pete Carroll. He's like, well, he's just chewing his gum. He's like, yeah, cool, man. Yeah, cool. Okay, cool, guy. Like, okay, who cares about, dude? Like, I don't care about you. And like Dre's trying to like pour his heart out. Like, yo, man, how did you like my time? How'd you like my workouts? And Pete Carroll's, looking at bills and stuff. Oh yeah, okay, cool, man. Pete Carroll chewing the gum like a horse. And then he says, so he didn't get any call back from them. So he's like, all right, that's it, business. And when he got traded or when he got drafted by the Niners, he knew, oh, it's a rivalry. This is the guy I gotta, go against. He knew how important it was to play good against Seattle because it's the rivalry. But then he realized, oh, Pete Carroll's the coach of the Seahawks. I'm going to make him want to basically realize that he should have paid attention to me. I'm going to make his days a living hell. And that's what he does. He plays extra hard because he's motivated, because Pete Carroll blew him off. He slept on him, chewing gum, and slept on Dre Greenlaw. And Dre Greenlaw plays some of his best football against the Seattle Seahawks.
He just has to get on the jugs machine, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that pass right
to
him from
Baker.
Hit,
man. He just likes to hit. He was telling Larry, he said, Larry told me that he asked him a question one time in the locker room, and he's like, yo, do you sometimes let people catch the ball so you're ahead of them so you could just actually like get the hit? And he says Hufanga was in the locker room behind him. He's like, yeah, he does that. Like, Dre Greenlaw sometimes lets people catch it just so he can hit him because he loves
surprised. It's kind of like those guys that play Madden that, when you play Madden, you got that hit stick going. Like, okay, I'm gonna let it get to him, but I'm gonna hit him when he catches it.
Yeah. Oh man, good stuff. I love Dre Greenlaw, man. The goal line stand, that was one of the greatest plays of all time. I mean, holy moly.
The hit on Hollister, right? And Russell Wilson was like, oh, he's in. Like, come on, dude.
No, my favorite was like Jimmy Ward sees the ball. He picks it up. He thinks he's going for a sick touchdown. I'm like, Jimmy, what are you doing? And I'm celebrating. I was like, is Jimmy going to get a touchdown? Like, what's going on? Yeah. That was chaos. It was like pure chaos, man. Absolutely love that game. That was a wild game. I just remember end of that game, you had Emmanuel Sanders and Debo smoking the cigars, man. I missed that vibe. But last year was fun too. The Niners celebrated a victory in Seattle, and they were hyped up, man. They won that NFC West. It was a good time. So if the 49ers want to win this NFC West, they got to repeat winning. They got to win in Seattle. It's not gonna be easy though, man. Seattle's a tough place to play, and it's Thanksgiving. Ruining another team's Thanksgiving in their home is a tough task. So we shall see. Speaking of we shall see, there's a man by the name of Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy. He's bounced back these last couple of weeks, and I mean, this man has been putting up some stats. So let me tell you, he is passer rating. His passer rating in the NFL is 115.1. It's first in the NFL. His completion percentage is 70.2. It's number one in the NFL. Touchdowns per attempt, 6.5%. Number one in the NFL. Yards per attempt, 9.7. You guessed it, number one in the NFL. Yards per completion, 13.8. Number one in the NFL. And also QBR, 77.6, number one in the NFL. This man leads in pretty much every statistical category in the NFL, man. And he is fresh off of the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Oh, I can't think. He was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week this week, and he was the NFL FedEx Air Player of the Week. Like, this guy is just tearing it up, and you still have the media ripping him. They hate on him. You got the Nick Wrights of the world. This guy keeps proving people wrong. I know he had a little tough 3-game stretch, but every quarterback goes through tough 3-game stretches. But they don't give the benefit of the doubt to a guy like Brock Purdy. He was the last pick in the draft. A couple days ago, Richard Sherman basically said, hey, look, if this guy was the top 5 pick, everybody would be talking about him like Mahomes. But he's not. He was the last pick, so people are waiting for his downfall. That's kind of how it feels. Because when Josh Allen struggles, when Justin Herbert struggles, when one of those other big-time quarterbacks struggle, it's okay. There's always an excuse. For Brock, yep, he sucks. He's the last pick of the draft. So I'm excited that he's been able to bounce back. Well, what do you think about Brock Purdy and all this, like, crazy stats he's putting up? NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Like, he is tearing it up this season, man. Like, this is going to be, if everything goes right, the first Pro Bowl quarterback the 49ers have had since Jeff Garcia. They haven't had a Pro Bowler on the roster since Jeff freaking Garcia, man. What do you think?
Hey, man, we got to make it Pro Bowl Purdy. Within the first 5 weeks, man, especially after that Cowboys game, it was like, okay, look, this guy's a top 10 QB. Maybe he's in the race for MVP voting. Who knows, man? But he's balling. And then all of a sudden he hits that 3-game slump. Then hell of people jumped off the bandwagon. Like, damn, this guy ain't good. Oh, he looks like, now we know why he was the last pick overall the draft. He was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason. He doesn't have an elite skill set. Blah, 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 blah. I still thought, especially like in that, well, first of all, Moody misses the kick right in the Cincinnati Bengal game. Now he had his ups and downs in the Bengal game. We get it. By the end of the day, he brought the team in position to win. Sure, we're used to seeing Brock put up 30 points with this offense. We only put up 17 against the Brown in those 3 games. Moody misses the kick. We get it. And the Vikings game, it was it was just a different. There were so many things that fell on top that kept piling on each other in terms of the team. The defense wouldn't get off the field, penalties on offense and defense, injuries. Purdy wasn't used to having Debo and Trent Williams off the field. You could say that, right?
Yeah.
So just all these things just kept piling down, crashing down all at once. And, you're going to have little rough spots. You're going to hit slumps in the NFL and in all pro sports. But the question is, how do you bounce back? How do you recover from it? They show Purdy. I know some people may have not have mattered, but he was driving some tractor or whatever on the farm or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe that worked for him to clear his mind. I don't know. At the end of the day, people had to do some type of soul searching after this 3-game slump, and whatever he did, it's worked for him. Even in that Bengals game, we lost the game. I get it. We didn't put together certain scoring drives like we should have, but I saw him complete plenty of deep, deeper passes down the field, connecting down. So it wasn't like he's this noodle arm quarterback that's afraid to throw the ball downfield or anything like everybody's saying. Like, I was like, okay, well, he still looks like a pretty damn good quarterback to me. It just, he sometimes the luck doesn't go your way. Sometimes certain things within a game don't fall your way. Just it's a team effort. Like I mentioned, the penalties and all that other stuff. And at times maybe he didn't see people or missed certain people on certain throws. But once Debo and Trent came back, it looks like the team's back on track. It looks like Purdy's back on track. Hopefully he can continue this. Hopefully he can build another win streak. I mean, how long he had himself a nice win streak. A lot of people didn't count that Eagles game because he was hurt or whatever. But I mean, I'm surprised by the kid because I honestly had no idea what he was going to look like going into this regular season. That injury was a huge red flag for me. I had no idea. He didn't have a strong arm to begin with. He has that major injury on his shoulder, on his throwing arm, and was it on his elbow? Actually, my bad, UCL.
Elbow,
yeah, and I was like, okay, well, what's he gonna be when he comes back? I mean, how do we know? How do we know how good he's gonna be? I almost felt like they're handing him the starting quarterback position on a silver platter. I was a little worried, but from week 1 to week 2, I was like, whoa, this guy looks pretty good, and in certain aspects, he looks better in certain areas than he did to me last year. So that was where I felt confident about him. When I watch him, I see confidence on the field too. And he's just up in the ante, man. He's stepping it up. So really proud of the guy. I'm really happy for him. And I think 49er fans should be very excited.
Absolutely. And you're right. He has gotten better. It's his second year. He's a young quarterback. You expect him to get better. But, it was hard to understand what he was going to be able to do because we didn't know how he was going to look after the surgery. And I think after 5 games, I'm not going to lie to you, I think maybe he got a little fatigued. Like, let's put it that way. I think there was a little arm fatigue. He may not agree to it. He may not admit to it. But I think that might have been an issue. And like you said, during the bye week, he got to mentally relax. He's on his tractor. He didn't throw. He says that was the first time he hadn't thrown for weeks, for months, because when he got, out of surgery and rehabbed, and then he got to a point where he was just having to throw, get that arm strength back. So, yeah, I think he took a break from everything, just decompressed from life and didn't throw the football for a while. And I think we've seen he looks a lot more sharp. He looks more poised and confident. That's always what Brock's been about, is he's so calm, cool, collected. People say he's like a young Joe Montana. I mean, low key, he is. He's so calm. The only thing he needs to be able to do is win from behind. But I think the 49ers are such a good team. They're not always going to be behind because they're a fucking great team. But I think he does need to learn how to come from behind, because there will be a situation where it happens. But the 49ers just don't trail. So it's kind of like an issue where it's not always going to happen. So, yeah, Brock Purdy may struggle from playing from behind because the 49ers don't usually get in a deep hole in most games. You know what I mean? So that is something he's going to learn and develop in, and every quarterback gets better, in those aspects if you're a great quarterback. But, Mahomes has had bad games. Montana has had bad games. The greats have bad games. It's how you respond, and Brock Purdy has responded absolutely well. And I think you made a big point. Trent Williams, Debo back, they definitely have something to do with it. But I just think Brock has calmed down and he learned, okay, I made some mistakes. How am I going to get back to what I do best? And you know what? I think Kyle's giving him more confidence because these last 2 weeks, third quarter, first drive, both games, he's thrown a deep bomb touchdown to put the game out of reach. Because I think Kyle knows, okay, we're going to play. We got the lead. How do we put this game out of the window? How do we blow it out of control so Brock Purdy can play even better and more confident? Because if he is playing better with the lead, I think Kyle realizes, okay, we have to put this game out, and this is where we go for the jugular. And that's kind of the formula I've seen the Niners do these last 2 weeks, against what was the game before? I'm drawing
Jaguars.
Against the Jaguars, 66-yard touchdown pass, third quarter, first drive, boom, Brock Purdy, deep pass. Yeah, Kittle over the middle. And then last week, boom, 76 yards, Ayuk, third quarter, first drive. That's exactly what they're doing. So, okay, let's give him the lead. And I love it, man. And Kyle's getting more confident, and Brock's arm strength is getting better. He's getting better, man. And I think it's fun to watch, man, to have a quarterback that you're not afraid to see throw the football. He makes great, decisions. He's threading the needle. He's, escaping the pocket. He's mobile. I mean, yeah, he makes a mistake sometimes. You're like, what kind of throw is that? But not on a big-time basis. I mean, he's very efficient. It's like 23 out of 25. Perfect passer rating. Like, he's not missing much. When he does, it's like, oh, okay. It's kind of like, what the heck? Because we're used to seeing a quarterback make a mistake almost on a third of his throws, maybe a half of his throws. It's crazy. It was like almost every other play. I'm like, oh, fuck, shit, oh my God. Now it's like when there's a mistake bash, I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that to see coming. It's like very, very infrequent compared to before. It was like, God damn it, man. What are you doing? You know what I mean?
When you read that big stat line too, it's like if somebody was just flipping through the YouTube podcast and they didn't know it was a 49ers stream and they didn't hear you say Brock Purdy, maybe they would have thought that was a Josh Allen stat line.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, put up great numbers. And this is what irritates me about the naysayers with Purdy. I've been hearing this some of them are Niner fans, unfortunately, actually, to be honest with you. But it's like, oh, well, he only does good, or the team only wins when the team is up 10-0. It's like, hold up, it's not like they do the opening kickoff of the game after the coin toss, and the referee goes, okay, tells people the scoreboard, okay, spot the 49ers 10 points, let's go. like Brock had a part in getting those 10 points on the board, dude. It's like, sure, in the future, sure, we'd like to see him do a nice little comeback, a Joe Montana type comeback. I think those things will happen, but to say he can't do it, it's way too early. He's only 23, dude.
Way too early. He's only 23. He hasn't played that many games. I think, again, it's something that you have to learn. And again, the 49ers aren't in that position. And the thing that kills me is like, oh, well, the 49ers have too many good players. So people get mad at the 49ers for building a good team. That is the point of building a sports franchise. When you're the GM and you own a team, your goal is to make a good team. You don't want to go out there and throw a bunch of shitty players on the field because you're not going to win. The whole point is to build good players. So it's like the 49ers get penalized because they've built a good team. It makes no sense. Like, oh, Brock Purdy has Trent Williams and Debo and Brandon. I'm glad he does. Your other teams that are sorry, you wish you had these players. Like, it just makes no sense when people say, well, they got so-and-so. I'm like, well, yeah, other teams have good players too. Like,
but there's plenty of teams in the league that have way better offensive pass protection than Purdy has. And Purdy still gets it done. And even though he's running around half the time,
Dude, look at the Eagles. Okay, Jalen Hurts has too many good weapons. Nobody says that. He's got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. You got that great offensive line, They loaded up their running back field this year. Like, yeah, come on, man. Like, nobody says. Like, you don't look at Twitter and all this stuff and say, well, Jalen Hurts has too many good weapons. That's the most dumb statement. Oh, Brock Purdy has too many good players. Well, fucking thank you, John Lynch.
Yeah, good. We did the right thing.
A great fucking team. Thank you, John Lynch. That's what we should be saying.
John Lynch.
He's the man.
But got us Chase Young for nothing, dude.
God,
anybody who wants to hate on John Lynch, they can't hate him on one more because that was a great midseason move. That could be the defensive version of the CMC move.
That's exactly what I said over the last couple of weeks. I said this is basically what CMC was doing to the offense. He's going to do to the defense, and so far he has. What's good? Riddy Music, he says, what's up to the chat? What's up, everybody? Real quick.
Yeah.
Chat has been bumping tonight. I love you guys. It's Thanksgiving tomorrow. I want to say happy Thanksgiving. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, man. This is a fun time, family, friends. Not everybody can celebrate. So to those that can't, hopefully you get at least some type of good celebration here and there. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. All Niner fans are family. We love you guys. And shout out to Frank Tom Ocean. He says, happy Thanksgiving, boys. Go 49ers.
Go Niners.
For chat. Man, the Niner fans are hyped up because when the Niners win, it's just good vibes, Bash. And these last two games have been good.
I'll be honest. Growing up as a 49er fan, I'll sit there and I'll wake up on Thanksgiving Day and see the Dallas Cowboys play, or I'll see the Detroit Lions play. And this is like when Montana was relevant, when Steve Young was relevant, and I'd be like, why aren't the Niners ever playing on Thanksgiving? And like, I don't think I've ever seen I think I've only seen the 49ers play on Thanksgiving twice. Once against the Ravens and once against Seattle. I could be wrong.
That's it.
And we lost both times. Yeah. So I want to win on Thanksgiving so bad, dude. You don't even know.
Yeah, no, because growing up, growing up in our age, in our day and age, you're a couple years older than me. It was Niner fans and Cowboy fans. Those are like the top two teams. But it pissed me off because all my friends that were Cowboy fans, their team was on Thanksgiving. Oh, we get to watch the Cowboys. And then the Lions play. It's like, I don't want to watch the fucking Lions. I don't want to watch the Cowboys. Why do I want to watch these teams? I want to watch the Niners. So it is nice in a way to have the 49ers on Thanksgiving. But they've lost both times. And both of my Thanksgivings have been just disastrous because they don't want to talk to anybody after the Niners lost, especially the last one. People were like, oh, your Niners, like when I was married, it was my, all the in-laws and stuff. They didn't watch football. Oh, your Niners are losing, right? I was like, I know, I'm watching the game. Shut up. Leave me alone. I got pissed at the
now the truth comes out. I had no idea you dealt with that.
Mad. I'm pissed off. The food's not. I was just like, this is the worst Thanksgiving. Don't put the 49ers. And then I said to myself, don't put the 49ers on Thanksgiving. And here we are. I'm excited for them. So,
hey, man, we're primed and ready, man. This team is talented. We got a quarterback playing I mean, this is arguably the best quarterback play I've seen since Steve Young. I mean,
You're right, man. Like Brock Purdy, he does. It's just crazy, man. Like I said, he can escape out of the pocket. He's creative. He can throw it to his receivers on accurate, dimes. Like he's doing stuff we haven't seen in a long time. And again, he's on pace to become the first Pro Bowl quarterback, voted to be a Pro Bowler starter since Jeff Garcia. Man, that's crazy times, man. That's a long time ago. Some of these people weren't even born. Jeff Garcia, you know what I mean? Shout out Pride of San Jose State. But
yep, San Jose State.
Speaking of Seattle, right? Big game. 49ers need to win it. So, do you have any early predictions? What are your thoughts of this game overall? Like, are you scared? Are you nervous? I know a lot of people that I've talked to over the last couple of days. They're like, "Oh, I'm nervous, man. We got to win this game. I don't think Pete Carroll plays the stuff." What do you think? What's your mindset going into?
I mean, I'm a little nervous just because of the history, just because of the PTSD we have from playing, that Thanksgiving game against the Seahawks. But as far as the matchup, I'm not really that worried. I mean, I know it's Seattle. I know the Pete Carroll factor is there, but I mean, the way CMC's playing, the way Debo's playing, the way Ayuk's playing, Kittle. What about Kittle, man? Past 2 games, I was saying it in those 3 losses, we played teams that did not do well in terms of stopping the tight end, and I kept trying to predict that, hey, if they get Kittle involved, we win this, and Kittle really didn't really he wasn't really that involved in those 3 losses. But look, you get him involved and you start winning games. And he had a killer game against the Jaguars. Looked pretty damn good this past game too. So hopefully he's a factor in this game. I'm not sure. You know what? When I was the little that I did in terms of scouting the Seahawks, the names of the linebackers did not come up. That's the one thing I overlooked was the names of who their linebackers are. So I don't know if they really have anybody that can stop Kittle. But hopefully Kittle balls out. I love it when Kittle gets the ball in the open field. He gets to run after the catch, and it's a lot of fun. He could be the X factor in this game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's a guy we haven't talked about today. And you're right. George Kittle has become George Kittle again. They are throwing him the ball, and he has become a huge factor. Let's take a look. George Kittle in his look at this. Against Tampa Bay, he had 8 catches, 89 yards, and a tutty. Against Jacksonville, 3 catches, 116 yards, and a tutty. That was that big 66-yarder. Cincinnati, although the Niners lost, he had 9 catches, 149 yards.
Okay, he had a lot of yards in Cincinnati. There you go.
Yeah, they started turning it up, and I think they were realizing, oh shit, good things happen when you get the ball to Kittle. Minnesota, they started cranking it up to him. 5 catches, 78 yards. So these last couple of games, man, George Kittle has been a big part of this offense, and that's what you need to do is you need to get this man involved because you're right, he's so good in terms of yak and he blocks, but he's so good in the passing game. So a couple linebackers we have on the Seahawks. They have Nick Bellore, they have Jordan Brooks, and they have Devin Bush. They have Frank Clark. He's an outside linebacker. He's more of an edge rusher. So those are their linebackers. They have outside linebacker Derek Hall. So Boy Mafe. I was going to say Boy Meets World. Boy
Mafe's their pass rusher. He's pretty good. I remember him.
He's not bad.
In the pre-draft. He's got about 5.5 sacks. He's one guy to look out for in the pass rush.
Yeah. So, I mean, they got some decent linebackers, but nothing like Fred Warner or Drake Greenlaw. I mean, they got some decent guys, you know what I mean? So, it's going to be hard for them to stop George Kittle, man. George Kittle always brings his A game against the Seattle Seahawks. We know remember the tightrope play? There was the play, Jimmy Hospital ball special, but he goes up and he skies for it. I don't know how he got it. And last year, the 2 touchdown passes he had against Seattle, the no look, the double fake no look from freaking Purdy. And then after that, Purdy drops him over the middle again and he stunts on the linebacker. Touch like George Kittle last year. Cook Seattle. He could again.
The moment Purdy stepped in last year, Kittle his game just amped up, man. He became a red zone threat, so it was nice to see.
Yeah, it was nice to see, man. You gotta love George Kittle, man. Because he's forgotten. I mean, it took us 50 minutes to get to George Kittle, and he's been balling out of control. So we forget about him. I think other teams forget about him. Shout out to my boy John V. He says, "Bash, a brother from another mother, and my friend from the another." And pause, Raj. Good shit, Raj. Monetized. So happy to see you rocking out. Happy Thanksgiving. Love you, fellas. Yeah, appreciate you, John. Awesome. As we know, me and Bash been doing this weekly thing for about a month now. It's been fun, man. It's been great collabing with Bash, man. And, got my channel monetized. So hopefully we can keep building it.
It was at
And
the start of losing streak, actually.
it was. So now,
Yeah.
it did good. You know what? The views on those losing streaks were the watch hours that got me over the top, actually.
Okay, there you go.
When the Niners lose, man, people love to hear everybody bitch and complain. So those three shows were pretty highly viewed because everybody wanted to hear me talk when they lost. That's a good thing, I guess. When everybody's winning, we're all saying the same thing. But when we're losing, we'll see who's blaming who. But I think you're right overall. Shout out to John V. Thank you for the super chat. But shout out to the rest of the Niner fans in there. But I want to talk more about this game. We talked about Kittle. Is he your X factor going into this game then?
Yeah, I see him as an X factor. I noticed the connection starting to come back alive with Purdy and Kittle in the end zone, and just I think he's an X factor this game. That's why I like. It's my guy.
I think that's a good choice. I think offensively, that's probably a great choice. My X factor, I talked about him earlier. It's Deebo Samuel, man. Deebo Samuel. I feel again we see how much he comes alive during the Seattle game, these division games. Somebody in the chat earlier says his favorite game to play against is Seattle. Like he wants to beat Seattle. He wants to prove a point. I'm sure that he wants to make himself look better than DK Metcalf. They're both drafted in the same class. They're boys, but he always wants to look better, right? So this is a game where Deebo, man, takes over. I think Deebo's going to be an X factor. I think we all expect CMC and Ayuk to be big parts of this game, but I think the X factor for me is going to be Deebo Samuel. He always just he's always an edge for the 49ers in these Seattle games, man. And his tenacity, his physicalness is always a difference in my eyes when they play Seattle. So I'm going to go with Deebo on offense. On defense, man, we talked about him already. It's Dre Greenlaw. He's already mad that Pete Carroll, he already told the story. I think Dre Greenlaw is going to be the X factor on defense. He always makes a big time play somewhere against Seattle. It wasn't just the goal line stand. There was a game earlier that year in 2019. He gets the interception. Unfortunately, Niners lost that game in overtime because of the kicker. But, I mean, Dre was all over that field, and he always plays good against Seattle. I think Dre's going to be my X factor on defense. I think, the usual suspects, Bosa, Chase Young, Fred Warner are going to be going crazy. We all know Fred's going to go wild. He, to me, looks like a defensive player of the year candidate. But to me, the X factor on defense is going to be Dre Greenlaw, man. I'm so ready to see Dre make another big moment against the Seattle Seahawks. What about you?
It's been a while, and it's always fun when Deebo. You mentioned Deebo. It's always fun when Deebo gets those big highlight plays, highlight touchdowns, those ESPN highlights. So that'd be nice to see. And Greenlaw, again, maybe he does another. Be nice to see him get his pick six. How about that? See, but my guy on defense is got to be Bosa. And now that Chase Young is in the mix, and I mentioned it when we first got Chase Young, expect to see more of the old Bosa coming around. And I'd say let's see Bosa get a 2-sack game.
Oh yeah, I think he is. I got another prediction that I want to make. So this is a prediction. So I think the rookie Jair Brown is going to have an interception on Thursday. I think this kid. We talked about him earlier. Like, he just looks like the moment's not big enough for him. Like, it's not too big for him. I love Jair Brown. He's a playmaker. And now with one game under his feet, a really big game. I think that Seattle's going to try to throw it to him. And I think they're going to say, okay, he's a rookie. We're going to test him. And I think Jair Brown's going to beat him on a play. And I think he's going to make an interception. And we're going to be sitting here going, oh, shit, did we just found another superstar in the making? Like
they were saying Honey Badger when we drafted him.
Yeah. I heard people saying like Honey Badger, Buda Baker type vibes. I'm going to predict he gets an interception. Jair Brown is making a interception Thursday against the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith, you better not throw it to him, but you are. And guess what? They're going to be calling back because you're going to be writing back. You can be writing back, Geno. I think the 49ers are going to just get the turnovers they need to win the game. I think it'll be a tough contest. But I think the 49ers will get the turnover. They'll win the turnover battle. And if you win the turnover battle, you usually win the game. So do you have any other bold predictions for this?
Yes, I do. Because my guy to get interceptions, Tyshawn Gibson, he's been playing A+ football all year long, but a lot of people aren't really talking about him because he doesn't necessarily have the big flashy plays. But I'm looking for him to get an interception this coming game. And my bold prediction for the score, I already made it on the Bring the Heat podcast. So good thing I remembered what the score was. Sometimes I'm a little inconsistent, but 34-13. There you go.
Woo,
We're gonna bring out the bling
34?
bling. Niners are king. Brock is king. Let's go.
34-13. That's a beatdown, Bash. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Man, 34-13. I hope you're right. Because I've been wavering on my score prediction. Earlier on, I was like 30-20. I don't know. So my final score prediction, I have the 49ers scoring 27 points, and I have the Seattle Seahawks scoring 17. I got 27-17. I think it's going to be a 10-point game somewhere. And I have it as 27-17. But, man, I like your score a lot better than mine. I need to see him score 30. I like it. I love it.
I just picturing some turnovers. We're number one in the league in interceptions. You know, we win the turnover battle usually, and I think it should be a lot of fun.
I think so. You know, my favorite part of this game though is gonna be George Kittle eating the turkey leg on the 50-yard line. I've had this vision in my head for months when they made the schedule, and I found out it was on Thanksgiving. I was like, oh God. And I just was thinking, I was like, George Kittle, the content's gonna be fire. There's gonna be a picture of him eating the turkey. Like, I just can see it already. I already know it. It's gonna happen. And it's gonna be revenge for when Richard Sherman ate the damn turkey on our 50-yard line. I need revenge from that moment. If I see Seattle enjoying turkey dinner, my Thanksgiving will be ruined. I cannot see Geno eating the damn turkey. I can't see it. I need to see George Kittle eating that turkey.
They were saying, shout out to Mariah on 49er Faithful Lead podcast with TL, and they had Steph Sanchez on there today. They were talking about who's going to be at the dinner table. Is it because, you know, they're like, oh, maybe Brock won't participate because he's not a loud, brash guy. But, you know, Kittle, I could definitely see out there. Definitely see Kittle out there. But who would the other two be? Debo? I think you got to throw Debo in there.
No, I see Kittle. These are the four people that I see that could do it. So you got Kittle, Fred Warner. I think Fred Warner is a guy that would go out there and eat the shit out of that turkey leg. I could see Nick Bosa, and I could see Brock Purdy. I think those are the guys that would probably, you know, go out there and eat that turkey leg. But it's for sure it's gonna be Kittle, man. I just, you know, Kittle, he'll have some funny comment to say, and he'll say "bang bang turkey gang," something like that. I just know he's gonna be out there saying something outlandish, and that's who I think. But I can see Fred Warner maybe out there eating that turkey out there, you know. So we'll see, though. We'll see. Yeah, maybe Drake Greenlaw.
yeah, well, I'd like to see that too. Shout out to 49ers First Takes Podcast. Aaron's in here, up in the chat.
Yes, sir. Shout out
to
Lo
Jackson on the screen right there. Shout out to Lo.
Everybody's in here. What's up to the chat? We love you guys. Any final question, concerns, or things you want to go over, my boy?
Not really. I just want to get all the Niner fans be hyped up after they have their Thanksgiving dinner. Enjoy all your time with your family. Obviously, if you're drinking, call an Uber. Don't be drunk and don't drive at the same time. You know, very important. Enjoy this Niner game. Enjoy this beatdown. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a fun game, man. Yeah, be safe. Have a good holiday and eat all the damn food that you want, man. Have a good time, everybody. So, Bash, real quick, talking about Thanksgiving. What are your favorite Thanksgiving food? Like, what's your tradition? Do you have one? Like, what is your favorite thing to eat, man? You got it.
So I'm not really that big on turkey, guys. Just
crazy.
Now, as far as sides go, I mean, if you can hook it up with some mashed potatoes and gravy. Mashed potatoes and gravy always do good. Some au gratin potatoes are good. I like potatoes, but I'm more of a prime rib guy. I like when I have prime rib tomorrow, we're actually having lamb. I love lamb, by the way. Lamb with rice is like my thing. I love lamb. But I'll take prime rib and lamb over turkey, though. I mean, maybe turkey legs all right.
I mean, prime rib and prime rib. My guy is big time. He's big timing over here. Prime rib.
Yeah,
man.
Not prime rib this year. We did it last year, though.
Okay. Yeah, I love it all, man. Ham, turkey. You give me prime rib, I'll have duck. Whatever you feed me, I'll eat it, man. I love it.
Have you ever had a turducken?
I've had a turducken.
Oh, you have? Yeah. Okay, I've never had it before.
It's actually pretty good, man. Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, turducken was good. Yeah, I've had the deep fried turkey before.
I've never had the deep fried turkey. That's the one thing I want to try.
I've had that. I remember one of my good friends. We did a Friendsgiving once, and you know his family is Filipino, so they made like a chicken adobo. They didn't even make turkey. They were fuck it. We're making chicken adobo and lumpia, so that was a dope Thanksgiving.
And
we had
pancit.
Pancit. They made just like Filipino food. I was like, this is good, man. It was good one, but I mean, when I used to go to my mom's, she'd make Indian food and Thanksgiving food. She'd be
love it. Indian food's my favorite cuisine, by the way. Dude. Yeah,
my favorite too. It's good stuff. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep it low key.
Getting hungry.
I know I'm starving.
Getting
now.
hungry to eat some birds, man. Some sea chickens.
We gotta eat them birds, and then we gotta stuff our plate with turkey. So, Bash, appreciate you. Thanks for hopping in, and have a good Thanksgiving, man. Shout out to the Niner fans. We appreciate you. Thanks for hopping in. Thanks for all the super chats today. We love you. Keep pushing. Keep hitting that like button. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. Della, thank you for the super chat. Says Happy Thanksgiving, Niner faithful. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody. Hope you guys have a safe Thanksgiving, and let's eat this damn Seahawks. Let's beat the Seahawks on Thanksgiving, man. Let's eat them birds, baby. Let's go.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah,
Let's go.